as things get spicier and spicier in the sleepover, guys, we've had news today that apparently four, count them, 4 islanders are due to be dumped. Now, they haven't said which episodes, so it could be tonight. I don't think it'll be tonight, but maybe Thursday or Friday. We're going to talk about that. And as you can see from my interesting thumbnail for this video, Rommel does kiss Poppy tonight, but it looks like DEJON kisses both Poppy and Caprice. So DEJON is kind of helping himself to every course available, it would seem, as they play some silly game in the sleepover, just like they did last year. No shock there. I think we're all expecting this. We want the sleepover to be a bit, interesting and, a bit fiery. Otherwise, it's just dull. That way we're keeping things fiery in the sleepover and fiery in the villa with Megan and her madness with Tommy and Connor. But just getting back to these 4 people who are going to be dumped, I wanted to remind you of how they did it last year, right? So last year, when they did the sleepover, what happened was the Islanders came back from the sleepover, and then the girls got to pick which boy they wanted or didn't want, right, having done the sleepover. And then the girls decided what boy they wanted. So this would mean, if they do it a similar way, that when they come back from the sleepover, that Caprice and Poppy will choose if they'd like DEJON or Rommel. And then what will happen is Helena and Emily will also decide whether they would like Giorgio or Will. Now, from what I can gather, and the way things are going at the moment at the sleepover, I personally think that in order to save their skin, whether they like them or not, Caprice would pick DEJON, and I think also that Poppy would pick Rommel. Again, to save their skin. That would leave Meg and Alima vulnerable. Then I think Helena will not pick Giorgio. I think she'll stick with Shay. And I don't think Emily will pick Will. I think she'll stick with Connor. And that would leave Giorgio and Will vulnerable. And it's possible that Meg, Alima, Giorgio and Will could all be dumped. Now, of course, this is me hypothesizing. Alright? And I could have got completely the wrong end of the stick. I do tend to do that sometimes when they get into the complexities of Love Island. And maybe what I'm saying is not going to happen. But I'm just trying to remember how things happened last year and how that all occurred. And if you recall last time, Grace ended up choosing Joey, which meant Samantha got dumped after the sleepover. So those are the 4 who I think potentially could get dumped. I don't want it to work that way, and it could be the producers change it so it doesn't, because I fear if you lose Meg, you're losing quite a central person in this season's narrative, which would mean, that it becomes plain sailing for DEJON, and they may want to try and avoid that. I also do not want to lose Alima. I really don't, because I feel like she hasn't had a fair shake of the lover and the stick yet. I feel like Rommel I can take or leave, but not Alima. So that's my 2 cents worth as to who I think these 4 to be dumped will be. And now we'll move on to today's first look. Following her secret kiss with Connor on the terrace, Megan pulls Meg and Alima to spill the beans. She says, "I kissed Connor on the terrace. I was like, just effing kiss me then. He was itching to do it." Meg questions if Connor has told any of the boys, to which Megan answers, "He said he wasn't going to." Megan adds, "I don't regret it though. I don't think I've done anything wrong. I'm not Tommy's girlfriend." Megan then calls Tommy for a chat at the den, as Tommy tells her, "The thing that annoyed me was in bed we were talking about Harry, and I said, 'Look, Megan, I do believe you. I really felt down about what happened.'" Megan responds, "I don't think you realise how much you upset me. For you to be like, 'I don't know, because Harry told you something,' you can't take my word for it." Megan then tells him, "Well, obviously I spoke to him on the terrace earlier, and we did kiss." "You did kiss, yeah?" Tommy asks. "Okay, cool." Oh dear. Megan says, "It's nothing against you, but I'm here to explore connections. I don't have to come and tell you this, but I do like you, so I am telling you." The next day, Megan and Connor catch up. Megan asks, "How are you going to deal with the Emily situation?" Connor adds, "I'll just tell her, that's what he would say, isn't it? I'll just tell her, you've been away a couple of days and you knew I was going to get to know Meg and we had a kiss on the terrace." Megan replies, "She's not going to expect that at all. I don't think she expects it from me." And later adds, "For all you know, she could come back with one of those 2 boys. That would make it easier." At the sleepover villa, Maya makes a shock entrance, taking the Islanders by surprise. She asks the group, Having some time away has allowed you to explore new connections, but are these connections stronger than what you have with your current partner? Maya reminds those at the sleepover that actions have consequences. Well, I think Tommy's going to have a rough old time, isn't he, when he's told about this kiss? Although, I feel like Megan was really kind of on, you know, full, like, fifth gear, speedy turbo drive last night. She clearly had had enough of Tommy. She decided he was really irritating, didn't like him, and went for Connor, and it happened. And she clearly seemed to enjoy the kiss and feels like there's chemistry between them. Now, whether she'll settle with Connor, I'm not sure. I think she may settle with Connor, but I think Connor will ultimately be the problem, because he tends to flit from girl to girl, and I don't think he'll kind of commit to her. I think another girl will come in and she'll catch his eye. But I think for the time being, he'd like to have Megan, but I think once he's got Megan, he'll die down a bit on Megan, but I don't think Megan will die down a bit on him. And then eventually break up, and she'll go back to Tommy, and he'll go back to anyone. I think that's what'll happen. So there you go. Interesting to watch, and I do feel a little bit sorry for Tommy, but I feel like Tommy shouldn't have stifled her, and he's paying a price for stifling her now. So I also think it's a bit of double standards, I think, with Megan here. The way she's been behaving. If that had been Melisha, it would have been a whole different story, wouldn't it, Meg? Yes. Megan, sorry. Megan. So annoying they have two Megs in there. But you get my point, though. It would have been completely different. If any other girl had done that, right? If, you know, Harry kind of did that sort of thing to Helena, and Megan and Meg, and everyone got furious with him. But when Megan does it, it's fine, apparently. Now, the sleepover we all knew about. We know they're going to have to make a decision. We know actions have consequences. Thank you for telling us, Maya. And I said earlier in my video who I think is going to pick who. Whether you agree or not, well, do I care? In terms of the rest of the first look, guys, it hasn't surfaced yet. And someone outside my window has now decided to start cutting things down in their garden. Why does this happen every time I record a video to you? Why can I not have that soundproof studio I've always dreamed of? Well, that's because it costs too much money, Yaz, and if you built it, you'd bankrupt your family. That's probably why. Now, I think we know what's going to happen for the rest of this episode anyway, don't we? They're going to play silly games in the sleepover, and they'll probably try and conjoin those games with those in the main villa, just like they did last year, and we'll have this team came first, that team came first, you know, sleepover villa came first in the longest kiss, main villa came first in the stupidest sex position. You know the stuff, and we'll find out who won who, and everyone will get jealous, and temperatures will rise, and people will get worried, and there'll be tears and concerns, and I think that's exactly what we're going to get. Anyway, thoughts below on what do you think is going to happen, guys? Let's discuss and debate. Who do you think is going to be dumped? Do you think my, ideas, my guesses are correct? Let me know, and I'll catch you tonight. I say I'm going to catch you tonight, but technically I might actually be out tonight, so I might actually be posting videos a bit later than normal, but I will do some posting. You can count on that. And now go and enjoy your Wednesday afternoon, like the good little children you are.